You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Hammock Hangers podcast. I am your host, Paul Collins, or also known as Skunkape. I am back with my trusty sidekick, AJ, or also known as Pheonix.
Howdy, y'all.
So this week, AJ and I are just going to talk. He actually had the pleasure of making it to Spring Swing this past weekend because he was actually going on another trip and made that like a halfway point. So he's got to stop by there. So he's going to talk to us and let us know, how that was going while he was there and everything. He's also going to talk about an upcoming little bike packing trip that he has planned where he's going to hammock while he's out. And I know he just got his Superior Gear hammock in. So we'll find out how he likes that so far. And probably a few other things here and there we'll talk about. But so anyhow, AJ, let's go ahead and get started with your little impromptu swing in visit with the Palmetto State Hangers this past weekend.
Awesome. Yeah. It was great. It really was. So the stars just kind of aligned for me to make it up to our South Carolina family, the Palmetto State Hangers. I was actually heading up to a wedding in Johnson City, Tennessee this past weekend, and the drive was going to be something like 11 hours, which is not something completely out of the normal that I could do. I did end up driving back straight, but I really didn't want to drive through straight because I ended up working a half day on Thursday before I left.
You didn't have another hammock hang that you could stop by on the way back either.
Alas. That is also true. Something about having to go to work on Monday was also in the cards. But no, so I left school on Thursday at between 12 and 1 o'clock and headed up that way. Ended up stopping a couple times, hit some traffic. I ended up running in to Dreher Island, probably around between 8 and 9 that night, and it was really deep into this campground. It's really in the back far corner. The road to get out to this primitive site gets pretty narrow at certain times, so I wouldn't suggest taking a big trailer back there, which I mean they have, but it is a couple times that road runs really close to two trees on either side. So I would. Now,
this ain't the same place that Spring Swing was at whenever we went a couple of years ago, right?
No, this is Dreher Island State Park, which is a little bit north of Columbia. Okay, it was a little bit further than Santee, which is where Fall Sprawl is held. But Dreher Island State Park is a primitive site that we were staying on. But oh my goodness, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I would say, facilities aside, it was my favorite place that I have camped with Palmetto State. Really? And maybe one of my favorite places that I've camped in South Carolina, period. Okay. Obviously, it was an island, being pretty much surrounded by water. It was almost like a little peninsula. So we had water all around us. The tree options were incredible. I had a site, pretty much a great view of the little inlet there, right next to the impromptu boat launch. So I could hear the water and there were the only other thing that I heard Friday night. There were some raccoons that we were kind of trying to discourage from eating food or really anything that we had out. But when I went back to my hammock, I had my headlight on and I was looking out into the distance because I could hear them running around.
Right.
You'd see these, beady red eyes, pop up with the light. I'm telling you, these suckers could have been on my 600-pound life. These were possibly some of the biggest raccoons that I've ever seen. And I mean, they were moving. They weren't moving very fast and they were kind of wobbly, but these suckers were chunky monkeys. They were big ones. But yeah, it was a great time. The trees that I got were really, really nice. I was kind of off on the other side of the road from where most people were hanging out, just because I could only stay one night and I didn't want to take trees that were next to kind of the main area. But I'm really glad of the trees that I got because it was a really, really nice site. In fact, it was so nice that when I left, somebody immediately took my spot. So,
that's awesome. About how many people were there?
I want to say around 30.
Okay.
When I was there, I know there were more people streaming in. When I had to leave Friday, I left around Friday around 1:00 ish, between 1 and 2, and there were definitely people still streaming in. I know that they had originally planned to do a trash cleanup on the water Saturday, but the temperatures were going to be down like in the 20s that night, and like the highs were only supposed to be in maybe the 40s. So I think they were kind of pushing that on hold because hypothermia is a real thing, being on the water, and they didn't want to have issues with people getting sick or getting wet at those temperatures. So I think they were going to do kind of like a land cleanup and fixing some things around the site. But I'm telling you, if Dreher Island had facilities, that would be one amazing place to do a hang. I mean, you could easily fit over 100 people at the primitive sites that we were at. Like all the trees, it was just planted out perfectly. Now I did see a lot of widowmakers back there because it is a primitive site, and I know Heather was saying that their staff is really short-handed. So if somebody were to take a group back there and clean out, do some tree maintenance back there, make that place a little bit safer for a larger hang, and added some sorts of facilities back there, it would be absolutely amazing. Now, when I left, I did drive to some of the campground portion of the park as well. The facilities over there were really nice. They weren't too awful far away. I don't know if I'd walk there, but definitely an easy drive. But they were really nice. The campsites were well maintained. The campsites themselves, if you had an RV or a camper or even a tent over in that side, it wasn't a very large camping area from what I saw. There may be other camping areas in the park. I just saw the one, but that they look very, very nice, very well maintained campground. So, but no, it was fun. It was good to see South Carolina people and shoot the breeze with them. Thanks to Heather, she had food ready for me when I got there, so I didn't have to worry about that. And we made breakfast in the morning and made some chai tea, and we made some grits. So it is a dry camp as well, so they had to bring in their own water. We didn't obviously have facilities or electricity or potable water, so we had to boil the water, bring in water.
Gotcha.
And I guess you could also bring a filter and get water from the lake.
Right.
But no, it was a good time. I really wish I could have stayed longer, but really glad that I was able to get the short time that I had. But that didn't end my hammock camping adventure for the weekend. I think I mentioned in the previous episode that I was taking my cricket stand, which I did set up in the Airbnb because we were short one bed, which was fine by me. actually considered setting it out on the little patio that was in front of our Airbnb for the night. But like I said, it was supposed to get 20 in South Carolina,
It got
and
pretty cold, huh?
I was 2 states north. So it was going to be quite chillier. And I looked at the wind chill, and my superior gear hammock that I brought with me only was a 45. And I had a lot going on that I had to be up and ready for. And also the second night I was driving back the next day. So I didn't really want to risk, being miserable that night and having to drive 11 hours back. So
Right.
I just kind of set it up inside the Airbnb and hung out there. And it was really, really nice to have, to know that without a doubt, I would have a very comfortable bed to lay in, even if they did have a bed. You never know, what kind of mattresses there
Right.
are. Luckily, the Airbnb that we stayed at was awesome. We were actually the first people to rent this particular house
Really?
on Airbnb, so they were looking for a good thing, and they really provided. So
That's awesome.
But you never know. You might get really shady couches that some people have set up. So
Yeah.
it's nice to have that guarantee. Just another option that for people that are looking for, a cricket type stand, it makes its weight in gold. It really does.
And then you had your superior gear. It came in before you left.
It did. It
and
did.
You took it. Now, was that were you able to try it before you left? Try it out, hang it up in your yard or anything, or was
I
that
did.
the first time?
I didn't sleep in it for a night, but I did lay in it one afternoon.
Okay.
Just to kind of, get the feel. I see how it is. I did end up getting a 10-foot, one of Danny's blemishes.
Okay.
Which, I mean, the blemishes, the zipper is a little bit shorter, which that's fine. I've got a summer sock that I was going to add over it because I did not get a bug net to go with it. Because
Okay.
I'm kind of regretting that now, but in a way, like the summer sock might work maybe a little bit better because it also has an underquilt protector with it. But I mean, it's pretty awesome. Even for an 11-foot hammock, it feels really, really nice.
Was it 11 foot or 10 foot?
Oh, I mean, it's a 10-foot, yeah.
Okay.
Even for a 10-foot, it's, very roomy, very comfortable. I didn't feel like squished or crammed. Oddly enough, I did have to get kind of used to a gathered in again for a little bit because I have been using the bridge so much. But it was really, really comfortable, really warm. It lofts up a lot, even though that the temperature rating says 45. I have to agree with Danny. It definitely lofts up a lot more than I would think a 45 would. So I think it could definitely go lower. Hopefully I'll get to try some of that out. I mean, usually if it's going to drop below 40, I'm usually taking a 20 degree.
Right.
So we'll see. However, I'm really looking forward to taking it on a bikepacking trip that I have coming up in the very near future. So
when's that coming up?
Okay, so
are you doing that? Are you doing that during your spring break?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Our spring break is next week, which
Okay.
oh, thank the Lord. I'm trying to keep my teaching certificate right now, and kids are trying to take it away from me. I love children. I love children. I love children. But no, our spring break is next week, and it's actually going to be a really big week for camping for me. So the first part of the week, we are actually going on a car camping trip to Fort Wilderness in Disney. Not exactly the roughing it type.
I was fixing to say.
No, a lot. We're roughing it at Disney. But
Yeah.
I mean, it gives me an opportunity to bring out some gear to be in the hammock.
You do know there's cheaper. You do know there's cheaper places to camp than Disney, right?
Oh, I'm very well aware.
I've heard they have a mouse problem there too.
Yeah, big ones. Yeah, but we kind of have a rule in my house is my wife doesn't know how much I spend on hammock gear, and I just don't ask how much they spend at Disney.
Right.
But they love it, and it's something. It's really hard to get into. But I do want to say the campsite, I think, was like $160 a night.
Lord have mercy.
So you got to really love camping, or really love Disney.
Really love your family.
That too. And I really do love camping. So $160 a night. I don't know if I love it that much, but we'll see. But no, I mean, they cater really well to you.
I know you wouldn't do it without your family going.
Yeah,
them being
I wouldn't.
Them being the main reason.
Yeah, they go in and they do the parks.
Gotcha.
And when they're at the parks, I usually take one of my hammocks and go down to the little beach area that they have, and I just string up. I'll actually be studying for a test that I'm taking later on that week. I'm going to be taking my middle school math test. So, and that's to be a teach middle school math.
Hopefully you'll pass. But hopefully you'll pass.
Hopefully. It's. I mean, if I don't, I'll be bummed just personally, but it's not that big of a deal because I do teach elementary right now.
Right.
So it's not like I'm going to lose my job or anything. But again, 2 more days, so we'll see how that works out. But I usually just go down there. It's usually quiet, and I can just kind of zone out. I'm also looking at possibly taking my trike to kind of get my legs warmed up for this bikepacking trip.
Riding around Disney
camp. Yeah, I'm going to take it to Disney. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you was able to do that.
Yeah,
I've never been to that Adventure Island or whatever. Where did you say it was?
Oh, Fort Wilderness.
Fort Wilderness, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's a resort campground. But not like a KOA. The sites are very close together. But the bathrooms there are much nicer than my bathroom at home. It's pretty miraculous for a campground bathroom.
Well, there's where the $100 and something a night goes.
Yeah. That part is really hard to swallow. But I mean, shoot. I mean, if you go in Florida here to some of the forest run parks, by the time you pay all the recreation.gov fees and all the online fees and stuff like that, you're almost looking at $50 a night for,
the state parks.
State parks.
Anytime I've ever stayed in a state park, it's always been like $35 a night, and that was it.
Well, they listed.
It's been a while since I have. It's been a while since I've stayed in one.
Well, usually when you book here in Florida, like if you look at just the campsite, it usually is around $35 a night. Okay. But because of the way they have it set up now, you have to book online.
Right.
And you have the $35 site plus like a $13 online booking fee.
Really?
Plus like taxes and things like that. Yeah, it's gotten
it's
ridiculous.
probably been a couple of years since I've stayed in one of the state parks. And I would just stay in the state parks whenever I'd go out of town for work and everything, because we would get the company I was with, we would get a per diem, and the per diem wasn't, a standard set per diem for lodging. They went by some government site that you would put in the dates and the location, and it would tell you what the average was for a night's stay. Yeah. And so either they would set up, you could have them set up, the hotel for you, or you could, get it on your own, pay out of your pocket, and then you just get that per diem at the end of the week. And so anytime, especially, what was it, like November to February, I think, is the peak times that there was a couple places that I'd have to do some work, and the lodging per diem, I remember one place was like $209 a day for lodging. And so I would make sure to take my hammock and everything. I'd go to a state park or KOA or whatever, $35 a night to for the camping, but I would get the 209 from work each night. So that essentially they paid me to camp. But the last time that I had done any work out of town like that was probably at least a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of state parks here in Florida is you can't get reservations. Ever since COVID, it seems like everyone and their grandma has taken up camping as a habit. And especially here in Florida, you have a lot of the snowbirds that they camp hop. So they can stay at a state park for 14 days max, and then they just go to another one, and then they come back, and then they just hop around. And that really books up a lot of the state parks to like native Floridians. So that's kind of a very frustrating thing. But honestly, the best value in camping right now, at least in Florida, is your county run parks. Like, for example, you and I both have camped at Starkey Wilderness Preserve.
Yep.
Which is, by Tampa, not too far from Tampa. And
it was nice there too. Those were big campsites.
Yeah. Big campsites. The facilities are, as far as like a county run park, they're better than some national parks that I've been to.
Yeah.
And it was $12 a night.
Yeah.
Which you can't beat it.
That's the one that I went to with Britt and Travis, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
and that was a nice one. Staying there my first night of my backpacking trip. So.
Oh yeah, let's get back to that.
My first stop.
Let's get back to the backpacking. Yeah. When are you going to start that and everything?
So we're going to be at Disney from Sunday night to Wednesday. We're going to come home Wednesday. I'm going to take my test on Friday, and then Friday night, I am going down and I am staying, being dropped off at Starkey Wilderness Preserve. Okay. So I'm going to be staying there Friday night. Saturday, I'm going to bike the approximately 50 miles to Crystal Lake campground. Well, hopefully if I can get a campground reservation, because I haven't done that yet. So I probably should do that.
Probably a good idea.
And that is on the Withlacoochee Trail, right where the Withlacoochee Trail crosses over or crosses under 75.
Okay.
So I'm going to do that Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'm going to bike from the campground. I haven't decided if I'm going to bike down to the end of the Withlacoochee Trail and then back home, or just go from the campground back up to, probably Central Ridge Park, which is about 30-ish miles from the campground. So not, I'm not putting in 200 miles in a weekend or something like that. But if I had planned this a little bit better, I would have probably scheduled my test for Thursday. And then my goal is to do the Florida Coast to Coast Trail. And I would have started in St. Pete at the St. Pete Pier.
Okay.
And gone from there up to Starkey. The second night from Starkey to Crystal Lake. And then after Crystal Lake, to cross over, there's like a big gap where the trail is not finished. So there's a lot of road biking on 50. Which,
that's where you said it comes through my area, right?
Yeah. So from about Brooksville to Groveland. That's where the gap is. And, 50, for those of you who don't know, is not really vehicle friendly, let alone bike friendly.
Yeah, right. So they're doing all that construction on there now. I don't know if you've been down 50 lately, but they're doing a lot of construction in between Brooksville and Groveland.
Yeah, so I know they are working on sections of the Florida Coast to Coast Trail. We haven't gotten an ETA of when that's supposed to be finished. I know they've been working on it for a few years now, but hopefully in the coming couple of years that'll be finished. And then that won't be such an issue, but that kind of weirds a lot of people out. So I'm just doing kind of this first half. My father-in-law is potentially going to come with me to ride a little of it. He's going to kind of be my pack mule, and he's going to bring my stand and things like that. So I am going to be taking my superior gear 45 degree on that, just because it's just easier. It packs down light and packs down small, and I don't have a lot of room on my bike. I've got panniers and a bike bag, but I do not have a trailer quite yet. I'm just kind of testing the waters to see how everything fits without having to add a trailer, but just because a trailer adds the bulk, and you just got a little bit longer vehicle profile. So I kind of would like to avoid that if I possibly could.
Right.
But we'll see how it goes. I'm looking at taking probably just a regular, either a 11-foot hex tarp. If it's supposed to be raining, I probably will take a Superfly. If not, I'll probably take one of my Thunderflies or mini flies from War Bonnet. I'll probably my straps and stuff from Anne Marie, because I absolutely love Autumn Outdoor Gear's Dyneema straps. And my hammock gear top quilt. Because again, I'm not really expecting a really, really cold. So 40 degree should be fine. I kind of got my old trusty 40 degree set that I can take the top quilt from. It's the one that I actually washed in the down wash, so I know that it's clean. I haven't washed any of my other ones yet, but I have washed those, and I didn't destroy them. So washing quilts can be done, folks. Washing quilts can be done. It was fairly easy too, and that's a good thing too, because they kind of smell like butt. Because I don't, we were kind of joking. It's like, oh yeah, we've all talked about, hey, can we wash them? Yeah, I think you can, but none of us had ever done that. And
well, I knew you could wash them. I just didn't want to try it because I know how much I spend on quilts.
yeah, that's the thing. But yeah,
I knew there was a certain technique that had to be done to wash them, and yes. I don't know that technique.
And again, if I'm able to do it without destroying your quilt, hopefully anybody is able to do it without destroying your quilt. But no, I'm really looking forward to kind of my first bike packing little jaunt in a few years, and definitely the first one since I've lost the weight. And it should be a nice little test, gear test, to see how things are working. My bigger goals, I don't know if I'll do the whole coast to coast trail this year, but I am looking at to complete a century ride before the end of the year. For those of you that do not know what that is, it is riding 100 miles on a bike in one day. So I'm hoping to do that probably
100 miles in one day.
100 miles in one day. Yeah.
That's a long ways on a bike.
It is. So I've gotten up to 42 miles of riding. Now I will preface, I am not riding a bike. I'm riding a recumbent trike. I have a cat trike Dumont, which is a full suspension trike. And it is a recumbent, so it's really low to the ground. It's got really nice thin tires on it, so it goes really fast. And it's a nice wide seat. It's kind of like a pedaling recliner. So my butt does not get sore like it does on a bike.
Right.
So I'm able to go for a lot farther. So even when I did the 42 miles, now, I mean, I don't even like driving my truck 42 miles, but on a bike, it
is a Ford. I'm just impressed that it can go 42 miles.
But don't get me started. But even after the 42 miles, I felt a lot better than I felt that I probably should. And I didn't even feel any, rough the next day. So I'm really interested to see
Now this is one of the 3-wheeled. I mean, let me make sure it's the ones that I'm picturing. 3-wheeled recumbent bike that's low to the ground and usually has the big flag for people to see.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't worry about people. I mean, I know how people drive here in Florida.
Right.
People here in Florida can't see a full-sized truck. So, I mean, do you mainly stay to the trails?
Yeah,
you don't go out on the roads, do you?
I don't do a lot of going out on the roads. A little bit where I'll be going, but I usually stay to the trails most of the time. I have heard from
people are idiots here that drive.
Oh, I completely agree. But I have also heard, because it is a trike, so it's a little bit wider, and it's also kind of weird. People actually tend to give trikes a little bit wider berth than even bikes. But yeah, I've got a big colorful flag, and I have a nice bright yellow jersey that I wear while I'm riding. I've got lights on, so I'm kind of decked out. If you can't see me, then you really don't need to be on the road, period. But I mean,
that's a lot of the people down here.
That's a lot of people. I understand, but no, I haven't had any bad incidents. Knock on wood. Hopefully that can remain. But I'm really looking forward to kind of the shakedown. Even though most of it will be on paved trails, which is fine by me. I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I just kind of like to get out, pump out the miles, and get you on. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I mean, I could probably do it being on the trails. I would not have that trust on the roads. Not to put my head at bumper height of people. No. That's just me though.
Yeah, it's kind of intimidating because, like, at least on a bike, you're kind of up, so you can kind of see. I mean, but like they will hit on a trike, you are not. You are
you're head level to the bumper.
Yeah, your butt is about 4 inches from the road. It's definitely a different type of ride.
All right, so you got that coming up. That sounds pretty awesome. I might even try and meet you out there at some point.
Yeah, you should come out. And I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it on the podcast in a couple of weeks. Let you guys know if it was an epic success or an epic fail. Hopefully, I'm leaning more toward the success. But
if it was an epic fail, that could be bad. But
yeah, if it's an epic fail, you're not going to hear about it. I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. If it's an epic fail, I might talk about it more.
Well, I mean, hopefully it's a learning opportunity. If everything went right all the time, we would never learn anything. So
this is true.
So hopefully I can learn things in a comfortable way versus an uncomfortable way.
Well, if it's uncomfortable, it usually only takes like one time.
That's true. It's a quick fix. It's a quick fix.
All right. All right. So we've gone over the spring swing, your upcoming trip, and all that. Let's just do a little side segment here.
All right, awesome.
We will do 5 underappreciated things while hammock camping.
Oh, okay.
3 underappreciated things of hammock camping, I guess you should say.
Okay, so I know we kind of talked about this before we came on the air. So let's see. So I've got my 5 ready. Do you have your 5 ready?
I do.
All right. So I'll go with my first one.
Okay.
An underappreciated thing while hammock camping is getting your complete setup the first time with no fiddle factor. And that's like hammock, tarp, and especially your underquilt. I know there's a lot of times that we're having to go up and adjust the hang of our tarp, or after we sit in the hammock, we've got to raise the head end or raise the foot end, tweak this, tweak that. But those very rare occasions where everything just kind of goes in and you can set up and go, oh, this is done. I don't have anything to fiddle with.
Kick back, take a nap.
Beautiful.
Right.
All right. What about yours, Paul?
Okay. I guess my first one would be the warmth you get from a down quilt on those chilly days.
Oh yeah.
You know, just when you're chilled a little bit, it's starting to get dark, you know, and you get into your hammock and you got the just almost instant warmth of the under quilt and then pulling the top quilt up. And you know, you got the, 'cause I don't know about you, but I sleep better when the temperature is cold outside, but I can put something on me to stay warm versus it being hot and me trying to get cool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. My prime temperature for sleeping is between 30 to 40 degrees,
Yeah,
and
I can say that.
so I've always been a big proponent of really great synthetic quilts. I have kind of like changed my preferences here as of late. I'm really liking the Superior. I'm also really liking a couple of my newer down acquisitions. Loco Libre makes the underquilt that I use for my Ridge Runner. I also bought a Jacks Are Better Hudson River at HangCon that I haven't used it as an underquilt yet, but I have used it as a top quilt edition, and it's so nice. It's something I forgot just how much I thoroughly enjoy a down top quilt, especially underquilts. I mean, I think down there's a lot less cold spots with down as far as the underquilt goes, but you don't really get the feel of the underquilt. But a top quilt, it's just something about that feel of that downy goodness on top of you. It's and it doesn't really matter if it's duck down or goose down.
Right.
It's just
the softness,
this beautiful cloud. And you're absolutely right. That warmth that you feel, it's almost instant. It's just miraculous how some natural fibers work that way.
I know, right? All right. So what's your second one?
All right. My second one, and this is if we were doing them in importance that I absolutely love, this would hands down be my number one. But I absolutely love the sound of heavy rain on a tarp.
Yes. It would mean any rain.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
any rain, but
to me, it's like rain on a tin roof.
Rain.
Just that, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about you. I don't know if you sleep with like a sound machine or anything but I
gotta have a fan on.
Yeah, I've got the fan on, but we have a Google system, and every night I'll ask it to play rain sounds for about 30 minutes while I'm going to sleep. I even have
I can do that.
apps
I don't know
on my phone that if there isn't rain while I'm camping, I will turn rain sounds on my phone.
I've heard you do that
to them before. Yeah,
I've heard you do that. See, I don't know, and I've got, I gotta say it kind of low here because I got one sitting next to me, but the not the Google, but the A word over here.
Oh yeah. The Amazon variant.
Yes, that one. I've got one next to my bed, and I could probably do the same thing, but I don't know if Deanna would appreciate it as much as I would.
Yeah.
But there have been times like like I said, I got the fan and all that, and then like we were talking a minute ago with the cool weather and everything, I will turn open up my window, lay in my hammock, and put a fan right in front of the window, which somewhat leads to my second one. Is now, see, I love the tarp as well, the rain on the tarp, but that goes perfect with that gentle breeze that will just sit there and kind of rock the hammock just ever so slightly.
Oh yeah. I mean, normally I will reach out and push on the ground to give myself an artificial rock, but
Yep.
but when you have like a really nice wind come through and offer you
Yep.
that nature's push,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
And it's
I
even
agree.
it's even better. It's even better when you have that gentle swing of the breeze with the rain coming down on the tarp.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's nice.
I'll be out in a matter of a couple minutes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, your third one ties in perfectly with mine because it's very, very similar. Here in Florida, it's hot a lot.
Yeah.
So we know one of the things that I love about hammock camping is I can hammock camp, or I can just camp a lot more of the year because it's not enclosed in some sill nylon dungeon like a
Right.
tent is. But when it is really really hot, like some of those nights out at Hidden Pond, and you get a cool breeze that just comes through and just breathes
Yes.
life into your soul, like it's a nice cooling sensation. And or that you can feel the coolness through the fabric of your hammock.
Yep.
I
Up under
think
you.
it's just very underappreciated, and like when it happens, you just want to hang on to it as much as you can.
Yep. All right. So my third one here, which I mean, this I love it with hammock camping, and I'll explain why more so. But it can be appreciated with a tent as well, I guess. But the sound of moving water, whether it's a little like babbling brook or a little creek, or even the ocean waves, crashing down. I mean, I know whenever I done my AT hike, anytime I had the chance to camp near like a stream or something, I did. There's a couple of times that I even actually strung my hammock over the creek and had it, flowing up under me, which was, and again, with those sounds, just instantly go to sleep and relax.
Yeah, another cool thing about hanging like near water, or if you're brave enough like yourself, hanging it over a stream, that moving water will offer a nice little cooling effect as
Yes.
well. So yeah.
Yeah, just don't do it in the winter.
Yeah. I have schema for that because it will rob too much of your heat.
That's funny.
All right, so my next one, and I know you're not a coffee drinker, so this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but for me, I have to have my coffee in my morning, and I have like a little table that I got off Amazon. You just kind of stick it in the ground. It's not one of the really fancy ones that Hammock Gear sells, but it's just the cheap Amazon beach table that I can just stake in the ground. And
Right.
when I can make my coffee and I can stir it and I don't get any clumps with the coffee or the creamer, and I can just sit back on a cool morning and just have my coffee without having to get up and meander through everything. It's just something really, really nice about that. It's kind of the greatest way to start your day, with almost like breakfast in bed, which I guess on the trail or out in camping, that's pretty much what it is.
I can see that. I mean, I don't drink coffee, but
I mean, would it be equivalent for you, like having a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit in your hammock?
There you go. Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. I can do that.
As you get out and crumbs are everywhere, and you might be fighting off the trash pandas at that point.
Instead of the burger bush, it'd be the biscuit bush.
The biscuit bush, yes.
The biscuit
I can
bush.
get behind the biscuit bush. Yep. I could totally get behind the biscuit bush.
Oh, Lord. That's funny. Old Dutch. Okay, so mine, my next one is, and this mainly refers to at nighttime, a silent campsite.
Oh, yes.
Dead silent. You don't have, people, hooping and hollering, or the sound
Just
of
people.
traffic.
You don't have people.
Or, somebody a couple of tents over that, has a very loud air mattress that thinks nobody else in the area can hear what they're doing. Yeah.
Or really bad karaoke.
Very bad karaoke with a very hyper
Incessantly
dog
barking dog,
and a generator and a guy that loved his own voice. Yes. Any of those.
Yeah, I think maybe another segment that we could do on further episodes, the most annoying sounds while camping. And a generator.
My gosh.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question though. Okay. Now, I love nature sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whenever I was a kid, we lived out in Leader Lake. There was nobody around because that was before the villages.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to love going outside at night, and I would hear, just before it got dark, I would start hearing like the nighthawks, flying around and screeching.
Mm-hmm.
But then after it got dark, you would start hearing the whippoorwills.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I loved the sound of a whippoorwill.
Mm-hmm.
Whippoorwills are awesome in the distance. But when you're out camping and one wants to get in the tree right above you, they are the most annoying birds ever,
Really?
I think. Yes, they are loud and they just go all night. I mean, we had issues with them a couple of times on the trail whenever I was hiking the AT.
Uh-huh.
To the point that we would take turns getting up and just grabbing rocks and just throwing them in the direction that we thought this was to try and scare it away. And it would get quiet for a little while and then it would come back. Like, oh my God. But yeah. So again, a
growing
silent
up
campsite.
when I would go camping, I love the sound of a whippoorwill as well. I've never had one, parked right
up close and personal.
Up close and personal. However, the thing that would always annoy the bejesus out of us, which you couldn't scare away with a rock, was we had like these like opera-esque bullfrogs.
I got some out back because I got a lake out back in my house. So I can go out there at night, and there's some big ones out there. They sound big anyhow. Let me put it that way.
They are so loud. Yeah, I don't know how big these were, but they sounded like they could be the size of, I don't know, a kitchen table. They were huge.
Yep.
So, well, I want to tag along to that one as well. This one specifically involves usually at night. And you can kind of relate to this because we do a lot of camping at places like campgrounds. Occasionally we can get out in the backwoods, but a pitch black campsite.
Yes.
With no light pollution, no nearby town, no emergency lights that you can't turn off by the firebox like you do with Sertoma. So, I mean, I got to experience this a couple times out west this past summer. One of the things,
nothing but the stars.
Nothing but the stars. I mean, not like sometimes you think of like a full moon as like, oh, they can be really cool, and they can be really cool looking.
They can,
but they put off a lot of light.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things when we were in Custer State Park in South Dakota is we had one night where it was just nothing but stars. Like there's nothing out there. There is nothing. And
billions of stars.
Oh
man. Look, let me tell you that stopped me. That stopped me in my tracks whenever I was whenever I made it up to Baxter State Park. And I got up at like 2:30 in the morning, start going up Katahdin because I wanted to be up to the top at the sign to watch the sunrise. And when you first start off, you're below tree line, and then at a certain point, it's just like you poof, and you're above tree line. It just opens up, and whenever I would done this, there was no moon, and as soon as I came out from the tree line, it just, I mean, just all those stars. And I literally stopped in the middle of the trail and just sat there staring up at the sky because of
Wow.
the way it looked. But yeah, so I mean, being in a hammock, and usually whenever I do have nights like that in my hammock, as long as it's not real buggy, I don't even have a net on. I just go topless.
Oh yeah,
on my
go
hammock.
topless. Go topless. Take it in.
Yeah.
And honestly,
exactly
like, I mean, if it's not super hot or like you said, I mean, even buggy, I'll throw on a top quilt and put some, not permethrin, but the Picardin lotion on my face. And I'll just just looking at the stars when I would say that's definitely underappreciated. Like a view at night.
Yes.
Like being able to take in the stars. Now, a view during the day, that's also really incredible, but there's something special about laying back your hammock
at night
right before you go to bed and just seeing millions of clear diamonds in the sky.
I mean, even when you lay back, getting your hammock during the day, I mean, unless you're really tired, you're purposely laying there to just try and relax a little bit. But at night, your whole body is naturally relaxed to get ready to go to bed. So you're just like in a more mellow state, I think.
Almost like in a mental capacity where you're able to appreciate it a lot more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was your fifth one there.
Yeah.
Okay, so my fifth one, you might be able to relate to this a little bit. Not as much as what I'm about to say here. But like when you do like a long hike during the day or whatever, that first bit of relaxation you get after you've hiked all day and you get to your campsite and you set your hammock up, that first bit of relaxation that you feel and get when you first lay down in your hammock.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like
I can think about like, granted, I haven't put in the miles in a day probably on some of your shortest hikes, but even after like driving for 8, 9, 12 hours, getting out of there, setting everything up, and then just letting your back stretch out.
Yep.
And that, like you said, like that first, that sinking, you can just feel like it almost like a wave of tension is just rippling down your body and out your toes.
You can just feel your whole body just start to relax.
Become melting into the fabric.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that'd be the best way to put it. So, all right. Well, that got those 5 from both of us.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. A lot of people don't think about stuff like that. They it's stuff that's taken for granted, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, so, I mean, you look back on, those type of moments, and they may not make it in any story or anything like that, but it's a accumulation of moments like that really make a trip special.
Right. So, all right, we're gonna wrap it up here in just a few minutes, but I do want to go over. I know this month is about gone. There's. I don't know of any more hammock hangs this month. There might be some out there that I don't know about somewhere in the U.S. Not really sure, but I don't know of any more. But coming up in April, I know that there's 5 that I know of that I'm looking at right now.
A really busy end of the month for April.
Yeah, not the last week, but the week before, there's 4 in that same week. We have the Arizona Airplane Flats hang, I guess. That is from April 19th to the 23rd. And that is in Payson, Arizona. Am I saying that right there, AJ? Payson?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Payson,
Arizona.
I've never been to Arizona, so
I hadn't either. Yes. I'm just looking at a calendar here. So
just say it with confidence, Paul.
If I
Just
get
say it
these
with
names
confidence.
wrong, I apologize. So,
Yeah, it's also really nice to see a hang not on the East Coast.
yeah, I know, right? And there's a couple of these that are not. So there's that one, and then I know you were saying I was pronouncing this wrong earlier, so I'll let you talk about
In
this
North
one.
Carolina, we have the and who knows, I may be butchering it as well, but Uwari Hangers Retreat, and that's going to be in Troy, South Carolina. I wasn't too far
Okay.
away from Troy this past week.
Really? Okay.
I think I remember seeing signs for Troy, so I may have at least driven by there at some point in the past year. So yeah,
Gotcha. And that's going to be from the 20th to the 23rd. And all these are next month in April. Is that that's
in Indiana we have the Hoosier Spring Hang, and that's going to be from April 21st through the 23rd in Bloomington, Indiana. And again, it's a hammock hang in the Midwest. So if you're on the Midwest, here's a one that you don't have to drive so far out to. So go check that out. I've talked to a few people that have gone to those hangs, that particular one, and they seem to have a lot of fun. So,
so that's 2 out that way so far. Of course, from April 21st to the 23rd, up in Pennsylvania is Maha. That's coming up the end of next month. That's in Caledonia State Park.
Yeah, and that's
up in Pennsylvania.
For those of you that don't know where that is almost right across the border of South Pennsylvania. So if you're in the Maryland or Northern Virginia area, that's really in your backyard.
Yep, and that's usually a pretty decent size hang there.
Yeah,
as
they're
well.
looking anywhere for around 150 people, so it's a good size hang.
Yep,
I know they had a waiting list for those to sign up because they're kind of like site size limited with their particular things. So hopefully,
I think they had
that one you've signed up.
I think they had to reserve a couple more sites because of the people coming up, if I remember correctly. So that's the from April 21st to the 23rd of next month. And then, so that gets those 4 in that 1 week. And then the following week, from the 27th to the 30th, out in Anglis Oaks, California, it looks like. There's the SoCal, what do they call it? The SoCal Fools of April Hang. So that's another one out west. And next week, actually, AJ and I are going to be talking to the organizer of that hang, Adam Wisniewski. So we will get all the details of that hang coming up. That will be next week's episode that will come out.
Yeah, that should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, because I'm curious as to, hammock camping out that direction.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest things that I think about every time that I go out west. Like, why aren't there more hangs out this way?
Right.
Like, there's just incredible stuff. Now, I know California has a lot of, rules and regulations for, pretty much everything.
See, that's right. And that's what I got. I want to talk to him. I'm glad we're actually talking to him next week because here in a couple of months, I know Deanna has something that her and her church group or somebody, I think it's her and her church group, they're going out for some seminar type thing, which is out there. And so I'm thinking about going out as well just to do some hiking and everything while she's doing that. So I need to find out, details of do's and don'ts for hiking out there in California.
Yeah.
Just in case I do. So
California is definitely on our radar for the next couple of years because, like I've said on the show before, redwood and sequoia are definitely on the top 5 of my global bucket list.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and just ask everybody that if you're enjoying the Hammock Hangers podcast and you want to help us grow, make sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any other platform that you're listening from. You can also go to the Hiking Radio Network website, click on the Hammock Hangers podcast page, and leave a review there. Also, make sure to follow the Hammock Hangers podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And also share, with your friends and family as well to help spread the word and, help us grow. So until next week, happy hanging, everybody.